I work with a lot of people relocate or buying their first home in Houston, and a lot of times they're like, wait, is this normal? So in this video, I'm going to break down just some of the common quirks and defects that are often found on inspection reports for homes here in the Houston suburbs. It's stuff that a lot of locals are just used to or think is normal, where people relocating from out of state might get a little spooked about. And of course, if you're local to Houston and I missed one, feel free to drop it down in the comments to let other people know, because I'm sure others have experienced it as well. So the big one we're going to start with is foundation issues. And I know that can sound kind of scary if you're not from here, but it's actually kind of expected. And it's not if your slab is going to shift, it's when it's going to shift. Houston is built on expansive clay soil, which means the ground swells when it rains and it shrinks when it dries up. This constant movement will cause the slab to shift, and it doesn't matter if your home is 5 years old or 50 years old, eventually your home here is going to settle. Now, in most cases, the settling is minor. We're talking hairline cracks, corner pops, maybe doors sticking a little bit more. And most builders and inspectors here will tell you that that is completely normal, which it is, and they do have a threshold that they kind of look at. But it is not uncommon, especially with older homes, to see foundation defects come up on the inspection report, and then buyers really panic because they think it is a huge red flag. It's not necessarily a huge red flag, especially if the sellers have already taken care of it and there's a lifetime transferable warranty. When there's a warranty and the sellers are aware of it, that's a good thing. That means it's been handled. Because again, it's going to be very hard over the life of the house here to not find one that has foundation issues at one point or another. If you've been here a long time, there are some homeowners who actually install watering systems for their foundation to try to avoid this problem, like soaker hoses or automatic drip lines around the foundation that keeps it moist all the time to try to avoid these shifts. So yes, here in Houston, we literally water our houses from time to time. So another one that catches people off guard, especially people relocating here, is water heaters in the attic. And yes, I mean full-size tanks sitting right above your living room. In Houston, this is super common. Builders often do it to save space, especially in two-story homes, because we don't have basements here. They don't want to take up garage space, so they put it up in the attic. And I guess it is efficient in terms of layout, but why? Why would you put 50 gallons of hot water right above somebody's living room? If the tank fails or the drain gets clogged, your ceiling is going to have water damage. A lot of homeowners don't realize something's wrong with their water heater until they see the leak on the ceiling. Technically, it is allowed by code here in Texas as long as there is access to it and there is a drain pipe that goes to outside. But again, the systems aren't perfect. They can get clogged, they can get ripped out. All kinds of things happen that still cause major leaks. So if you are buying a home with one in the attic, just make sure you know how old the water heater is, that it's been maintained, and that there are no leaks, especially with the drain line. And once water heaters hit about 10 years old here, it is not uncommon for people in older homes to just reroute the entire thing down to the garage and then put in a tankless water heater. And luckily, a lot of the new construction, especially over 500,000, are now including tankless water heaters in the garage instead of the big water tanks up in the attic. Another thing I get asked about a lot is foggy windows. You'll be touring a house, everything looks good, except some of the windows have like a hazy, foggy look over them. That's a broken window seal, and it is super common here in Houston. Most homes here now are built with double pane windows, which are to be energy efficient. There is gas sealed between the panes to help with insulation. But over time, especially with our intense heat, our intense humidity, and the temperature swings, those seals can fail. And they do quite often. It's very common here. And once that happens, moisture gets inside, and that's where you start to see the fog. It doesn't mean that the windows are about to fall apart. It just means that they are not working or insulating that the way they should be. The good news is there are a lot of companies here that specialize in this, so oftentimes you do not have to replace the entire window unit. However, it is just one of those things that is very, very common here. For a city that floods as often as Houston, you would think that we would have better drains and gutters to manage water, especially out in the suburbs. That would be what's expected, but unfortunately, that's not what's always happening. A ton of homes here, especially newer homes out in the Houston suburbs, do not have full drainage or gutters. They usually have what the developer is requiring, which is usually just the front of the house having gutters and drains. So most houses will have the baseline, but for Houston, that is not nearly enough. So if you are buying a home in the suburbs or new construction, you just have to budget for the fact that you're going to probably have to put gutters on your house on all four sides, plus drains. Otherwise, you will have standing water on your side yards and in your backyard. Drainage with the builders is technically up to code. They do the bare minimum, but it's rarely done in a way that actually prevents problems for the homeowner down the road. Now I want to talk about brick homes because they are everywhere in Houston, and a lot of first-time home buyers or people relocating from out of state specifically ask for all brick homes because they feel that they're more durable than the ones with hardy plank. And it's not wrong, but it's also not the entire picture of what the brick is here. What we primarily have here in the Houston suburbs is brick veneer. Yes, it is real brick, but it is not structural. It is a single layer added to the outside of a wood framed house. So it's not holding anything up, and it is not insulating anything either. And that's surprising for buyers because a lot of buyers assume that brick means better insulation from heat, better protection from storms and flooding. But in our climate, that's really more about your roof, your foundation, and your elevation. Now, to be fair, veneer does have its benefits. It's low maintenance, it holds up well in heat, and it is somewhat fire resistant. It's also expected here, so it's good for resale, and it does give it that classic Texas look. But just know, as you're home shopping for your own knowledge, that it is just a exterior finish. It is not a structural upgrade. And you'll notice in a lot of our suburban neighborhoods, the brick is only on the front of the house. On the sides and the back, especially on the second story, it's usually our hardy plank. If you're building a home, they do offer an all brick upgrade, but again, just look at the pros and cons because it's really not doing anything structurally for your house. This one isn't so much an inspection issue, it's just something that comes up a lot with buyers who are moving here. Everyone says that things are bigger in Texas, except for our garages. You'd be surprised how many buyers, especially coming from out of state, assume that Texas garages will be oversized, big enough to fit a large SUV or a lifted truck. When we start looking at homes, especially in master plan communities, that is just not the case. A lot of people start realizing that no, they are just standard size garages here in Houston, 7-foot doors and the standard depth. At first, I thought it was just a particular buyer that was running into this problem, but no, this comes up constantly. The truth is, in many of our suburban master plan communities, it's very hard to find oversized garages with taller doors. That's just the way it is. So if you do have a larger vehicle and you do want to live in a mega master plan community, just be prepared that this will be something that probably comes up that's a little bit more on the challenging side to find. A couple of other things that are super common here that might not be in other parts of the country. The first one is typically in the suburbs, our primary bedroom is on the first floor for 2-story homes. It's not uncommon for people relocating here to request all bedrooms on the same level, but here in Texas, it's very common for the primary and maybe a guest bedroom to be on the primary floor and then the rest of the bedrooms upstairs. There are only a handful of builders here that do a primary bedroom on the second floor. Then there's what we call the Texas basement. Here in Houston, due to our soil, we do not have basements here, but we do have very large, oversized attics in many of our homes. The attic here in Houston defaults to our basement storage, and if you're lucky, you'll find a home that already has plywood and lighting set up so that you can use it for storage. And then of course, the last one is Jack and Jill bathrooms. Houston suburbs love themselves Jack and Jill bathrooms. This is one of the most consistent layout options for 4-bedroom homes in the suburbs. It's usually 2 bedrooms connected by 1 bathroom, and good luck finding anything else in the Houston suburbs that's a newer construction that does not have this feature. For families, of course, it's efficient, but there are people who are relocating here that do not like the Jack and Jill and all the doors and all that, but it is really hard to find homes here that don't have that feature. Anyways, if I missed some, go ahead and put them down in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.